What an absolute love letter to World of Warcraft's heritage this is. If you want a trip down memory lane, or perhaps are a new player who wants to feel some of old WoW's legendary atmosphere, this patch is for you. There is a hidden questline that takes you through Scholomance, unlocks a removed version of it, has you work with the Argent Dawn to restore a vanilla-era time, gives you a new currency to grind, brings you to Stratholme, unlocking a special secret entrance to Naxxramas, and then offers a whole tier of secrets and even gold-making opportunities hidden within. This is an amazing trek through history, which allows you to actually get a new mount and a toy, but also the iconic but long removed tier 3 appearances, as well as plenty more beyond that. But to do so, it is an adventure, and if you want that tier 3, it is an expensive one. But don't worry, our sponsor is a lot more affordable. Squarespace.com/Bellular Gaming, the place to rapidly get yourself established on the web, and where their awesome new Blueprint feature will make your life even easier. Now, I've ran 2 of our sites on Squarespace, and most recently that was the one for our game studio. Now, Blueprint is what I want to talk about today because it essentially makes a custom template for you. So rather than just picking a full template, it guides you through all the core sections you might want in your site, and you just get to select what things you like the best. And from there, you can easily add more pages to your site, select a color palette from their fantastic presets, and tie it all together with a perfect font choice. And with your site built, then all you need to do is just add your content, and it is done. I really think this is one of the quickest and easiest ways to get a professional-looking, cohesive website that, of course, because it's Squarespace, is responsive, be it tablet, desktop, or mobile. You can even inject custom CSS if you'd like. Now, it's all built using their very easy-to-tweak blocks, and this all works with their massive array of other features, like e-commerce, memberships, email list, all the things you could possibly want, they've got in a just nice all-in-one platform where it all just works together brilliantly. And that means that you can start building your site for free today at my link down below. And when it's time to send it live, you can use code Bellular Gaming, and that'll get you 10% off the annual plan. That's squarespace.com/Bellular Gaming. Back in vanilla, one of the most memorable factions in WoW was the Argent Dawn. Do quests, collect Scourge Stones, and venture into the depths of Scholomance and Stratholme. That is what you were doing for them back then, and it's the inspiration of what we are doing now, which slaps. First, we have to go to Scholomance. But before you leave the city though, here's a checklist of items that you'll absolutely want to bring with you to save some time during the quest. You'll need a lot more for any armor you want, but this gets you to unlocking the vendor. I'd also recommend doing this on a character that can do a lot of AoE in the move, like a feral druid or a demon hunter. Not necessary, but you'll be doing a lot of running and there's a bit of a time trial that can be sort of tight. Our first step is to get Krastanov's Bag of Horrors. This is a toy from the Scholomance rare spawn mob, Krastanov. If you don't have it, basically it only spawns on heroic, and that means you've got 1 try per day per alt. And essentially, once Rattlegore dies, if this rare spawns, he will shout, "The doctor's in." Thankfully though, you can just go in with somebody who has already got the item. Anyway, after beating the last boss, use the bag near this bone pile to summon Eva Sarkov. Now, she was actually the quest giver in vanilla WoW, who gave you the original dungeon quest to kill Krastanov. She will, of course, be terrified of you until you remove the toy's buff, and then you'll be able to talk to her, starting a hidden quest. You'll need 5 essences of undeath and 3 dark runes, which you can farm or buy to fix the trinket that she gives you. The trinket will allow you to see ghosts on the island outside, so you'll need that equipped to grab the items she's going to need for her next quest, which starts the ritual. Now make sure that you pick up her femur from the pile of bones and her journal awkwardly behind this bookshelf before you leave and meet her outside. You'll then need to speak with these ghosts and trade with them to get candles. The clues to solve this one are very simple and very fun. And now that you've got everything gathered, you can start the ritual in this little back room. Do the ritual, And voila, you now get this book to access the memory of original Scholomance, complete with its transmogs and its recipes. This is Scholomance as it was in Vanilla WoW, restored today. And now it is time for step 2, into the past. Now, if your hair isn't grey enough to have an Argent trinket in your bank, you can actually find a cracked one down here where Rattlegore is. You can then repair it using a Righteous Orb and 4 true silver bars. Now, you'll be all the way down here anyway to pick up the viewing room key from him. And once you've got that key and your trinket equipped, continue through the dungeon. When you get here, you're going to need to clear out each of these rooms to spawn in the Dark Master. And then blast him. He's going to drop the Dark Master's Scourge Stone, and this starts a quest. Handing it in will be the end of step 2, and now, with that done, you and all of your alts can farm Invader's Scourge Stones. And you can do so without even needing the trinket. It's just an account-wide unlock. Now, Invader Scourge Stones, they come from bosses in Old Scholomance, and you're going to need to farm up 20 of them. So if you want a run at transmogs and recipes, you may as well just go and do a clear now. So just hop out, reset the dungeon, hop back in, and get killing. Now for some quick tips, Jandis Barov drops a journal that tailors can read for a pattern. And there's a boss, Kurtonos, that you can activate on your way out if a certain item managed to drop from the bosses. That gets you some extra loot and an extra stone. Anyway, once you're satisfied, it's time for our next destination, Stratholme. In here, you should clear the place for these stones, but you've actually got another mission to pick up a Ward of Naxxramas from these eyes that will spawn in randomly, and some Stratholme Holy Water from the highlighted boxes. Actually, pick up 2 Holy Waters, you'll need a spare one later. Okay, once you've got it all, it's time for the time trial. Use the ward outside the cathedral, then throw holy water on the dread ward that spawns. This will give you a 5-minute debuff, and that means you've got to go fast. Run over to the undead wing and clear it out. You'll need to clear these 3 bosses. Kill the mobs inside the ziggurats, and then clear the guards outside, and then kill Baron Rivendare himself. That will open the portcullis, allowing you to see the Hand of Naxxramas mob. Blast it with your trinket using the extra action button that will appear, and congratulations, you've completed step 3. For the next step, you're going to need 20 Invader's Scourge Stones. Now, you should have quite a few of them already, but while you're here, you may as well reset Stratholme and kill the bosses to farm up some more. And of course, don't forget that extra holy water as well. And with that, it's time for step 4. So once you're done, take yourself to this area and speak to Archmage Dos Santos for a final quest. You're going to need to hand over some stuff, which we've already mentioned, unless you're already exalted with the Argent Dawn. And once that's done, you now have an account-wide unlocked secret entrance to Naxxramas from the Plague Lands. And this achievement, which unlocks a whole ton of new content within Naxxramas itself. Now, before you go in, make sure you have 20 Invader Scourge Stones, a black coffee, 3 dark runes, and at least 1 holy water. And also, set your raid to the 10-man version. That is important for the mount later. The first step is to make your grappling hook. Yeah, a grappling hook. So get a sewing kit from Faralina, a construct hook from one of the slime vats that is just in the entrance of the construct quarter, and then fish up a hook from some slime. The river in the construct quarter is very handy after you've grabbed the hook. Combine those items and make your way to Thaddeus's room, killing the bosses along the way. And now it's platforming time in World of Warcraft. It's a bit finicky, so I'll run through some footage here of basically what to look for and where to go. But basically, you've got to find and then position yourself for these grapple points and carefully make your way around the place without falling. So remember with this one, slow and steady wins the race. Or just be a demon hunter. Anyway, your goal is this dead guy. He's called Zacket Skull Smash. Don't ask how this works, but this is what that spare holy water I mentioned earlier is for. You need to splash it on him. This makes him be refreshed and awake somehow, and that's when the fun begins, because it's time to grind. Zacket is a demanding fellow. He needs you to run Stratholme, Scholomance, and Nax to collect 20 Invaders and 5 Corruptor's Scourge Stones, 3 Dark Runes, and because he's a little bit of a sleepy boy, some black coffee. It's a good thing then that you've learned from our mistake and you've already collected those materials beforehand. You'll have the Corruptors ones from killing the bosses on the way too. Smart. All right, now it's time for the actual grind. Zacket will let you trade in Scourge Stones for Death's bargaining chips. And these bargaining chips can be turned in for a whole suite of rewards. Don't worry, by the way, if you need to leave, because the next time you re-enter Naxxramas, he will just be there in the central ring. Very convenient. 3 chips will get you a random item from the old world for a slot of your choice, which has a chance to be tier 3. Not an actual bit of tier 3, of course, instead a lamented item, which you can later turn into tier 3. He also sells some old Naxxramas recipes for 12 apiece, the Plagued Crate toy for 15, and Rotten Delicious for 30, which you're going to need to complete the secret for Valiance, which is the new mount reward. He also then sells things required for tier 3. So these are patterns that can actually only be used by people who have already got a full set of tier 3, and then Phylactery Weave, which is basically the big gold sink for this one. Now, he actually does give you your first sample for free in the form of a Desecrated Bracer. That Desecrated Bracer can then turn into the tier 3 equivalent bracer when it's combined with 70 weave and some righteous orbs, which costs about 150,000 gold. But anyway, let's talk about the new mount. You're going to need to farm up 30 chips for this, but the good news is that absolutely everything here is account-wide. And the fastest way to farm those chips is via Corruptor's Stones. Those are the ones that come from Naxxramas bosses. A full clear of Nax will get you 14 stones, which is, of course, 14 chips. Now, that does mean that alts are key here, because yes, you can farm Stratholme and Scholomance, but it takes 10 Invader Stones to get 1 chip, and that is so much slower. So basically only farm those dungeons when you're out of alts that can go and farm Naxxramas itself. Just do be sure, at least on one character, to leave Instructor Resuvius in the military quarter alive. Right, do that on at least one of your characters, because we're going to need him, and also ensure that you've got him alive on 10-man difficulty. Also, you see these frozen runes, so you don't need them for the mount, and they are relatively cheap in the auction house, but you can pick them up while you are here. They're all over the place, so keep an eye out. But anyway, let's get back to the mount. Once you've got your 30 chips, go and buy the Rotten Delicious and bring it to Resuvius's room. Then feed it to Valiance, which is his mount. Ideally, clear the trash in the room while you're at it. Next, go and use the Obedience Crystal. This only appears on 10-man, which is why I said to at least have one 10-man that you can do on one of your characters. Take the understudy over to Valiance, and they will then mount it. So, run him back over, right-click in the unit frame, and dismiss. Then kill the ads and the boss, and ta-da, the mount drops. It's now yours. It's a simple enough process, but it's quite a satisfying little one. And don't worry if you make any mistakes here, by the way. Once you've used the Rotten Delicious, the whole thing is account-wide. So you can try on another character without having to do the grind again. Thanks for that one, Blizz. What about tier 3 crafting then? You might be interested in it. This is simple, but each full set of tier 3 will cost you 3 million gold. So it starts with these dented items that change into the random pieces from the old world. Sometimes there'll be a new appearance, sometimes there'll be a lamented item. Now these lamented items are the thing you need for tier 3, and they're actually bound on equip. So what's kind of neat there is, it does mean that if you don't actually care about tier 3, if you've got this unlocked, you can just sell these on the auction house and people will buy it. Now, lamented items need to be combined with the right material, one from one of the 4 patterns sold by Zacket that we talked about earlier. And of course, only people that already have a full set of tier 3 can make them. They're bind and pickup, which does mean that you'll need to use the new craft order system to do this. You'll basically probably need to make a buddy here and tip decently well. I mean, in a way, it's a bit of a pyramid scheme for tier 3 owners, but I suppose it is a nice exclusive gold-making opportunity for anyone who's already got the set. However, for others, this is where the bad news comes in. The lamented items, once repaired with the crafted materials, turn into desecrated items. To purify them and get the appearance, you're going to need to give Zacket hundreds of thousands of gold per piece. Each required phylactery weave costs 2,000 gold, and you need this many for each piece. What is Zacket doing with this money? Nobody knows. It's obscenely expensive, but it's also something for the more hyper-dedicated or very old players. Doing Nax back in the day really was a badge of honor, never mind collecting the full set. And now that they've been in the black market auction house for a while, I suppose this is a bit of a middle ground and a decent way for Blizzard to suck some gold out of the economy. Also, granting Naxxramas for a shot of items that can currently be worth $500,000, because that's what the lamented items cost to players, that does seem pretty neat. But there's actually more. There are ancient patterns from Nax and this era of the game that are available from a few sources. 12 chips to Zacket gets you a random BOE Nax pattern. If you've got the right crafting level, these can even help you to afford tier 3. You can also get the old Frost Resist set patterns from the Argent Dawn. Omarion's second handbook is at the start of the military quarter in a cage. Picking that up starts a questline that leads you back to Light's Hope Chapel, and with his notebook back, that NPC will now be able to sell you the patterns for the Sapphiron's Bane items, which of course is the original Frost Resist set of gear you needed to fight Sapphiron in the original Naxxramas. The only issue here is the pages are missing, so you will need to go and gather them from around Naxxramas. Obviously, make sure to take a look out for those grapple points, because some of them are up in the rafters in the high places. And by the way, he sells these patterns for 3 Argent Dawn Valor tokens each, which, you guessed it, you can get by handing in Scourge Stones. Exact same as the Death Chips, and the conversion rates are the same as with Death Chips. It's 10 invaders for 1, or just that 1 for 1 with a corrupting one. And for you achievement hunters, getting a full set of the Sapphiron's Bane armor will actually net you an achievement, as well as collecting all 16 of the recipes. And for Naxxramas, that's it. There's actually a minor version of this going on in Dire Maul and the Wailing Caverns, where basically old recipes now drop from specific mobs, as well as a few long gone leatherworking patterns now being handed out by a goblin in Dire Maul. And really, for being something basically completely missing from the game's patch notes, this is a crazy secret. It's a lot of fun. The vibes are bringing back, like, old Scholomance. You're seeing the old music, the old atmosphere of all these undead areas. And I know this isn't for absolutely everybody, but I think it's seriously worth a try if you've got nothing else to do. It takes a few hours of flying around old zones, drinking in those old vibes, and really doing what to me feels like a true old-fashioned legendary quest in World of Warcraft. Blizzard are honestly knocking out of the park, like with Zul'Gurub, with this. They're just taking these old things in the game and they're making them relevant, but in a way that celebrates their heritage. So whoever's responsible for leading this, please let them continue to do more. Because as time goes on, WoW's old content it's just being re-imbued with this genuine love and flavor. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So, there you go. We didn't even know that this was coming officially, and yet here we have it. A whole, well-considered love letter to some of the oldest eras of WoW's history. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and hope you enjoy doing this. Pop your headphones on, drink in some of those vibes, have a bit of fun, and hey, if you don't get tier 3, you can at least make quite a lot of gold from doing this. Have a great day. See you next time.